Hey, Ann.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, sure thing. Yeah, no, this is great. It's I know I don't get to see some people at the gym as much, but it sure is nice to see people here at least and connect.
No, we're so thankful. Thank you.
Sure thing. Good morning, Carrie.
It's been forever. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I was sad I had to leave the gym.
Yeah.
And now I have to leave California.
No, where are you going?
Washington. Like, wasn't that my dream way back when I met you? Do you remember me ever saying I wished I lived near my grandkids?
Yes, I do remember you saying that.
But now it's not because we want to leave California. And we're still going to be 2.5 hours away. So I have to look at the good side. But man, this is my spot. It took me 54 years to get here. I can't believe I'm leaving after 10.
I know. Oh, what part of Washington?
We're moving outside of Portland, so we're near an airport. We have lots of excuses to come back right away. And I retired. I haven't been driving like a crazy person all over California for work and living in my car basically.
Oh, that's a good break. I've been, I know in medical device sales, that's what I was doing constantly, just always in my car, living out of my car, living in a hotel, for a night and then going someplace else.
Yuck, not fun. Sounds glamorous at first, but.
Yeah, it wears pretty quick. Well, it's so good to see you. I'm gonna check in with Pat. Hi, Pat. Nice to have you here.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah, please tell Rich I said, hey, I always love seeing you guys, whether it's online or, just
you
seeing Rich
see me
over
online,
at the gym.
you see Rich wherever.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Everything's good.
Good. Awesome. I'm going to check in with a couple other people and we'll get started in just a moment.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. Hey, welcome, Ben. Welcome, Clara. And Ursula, welcome. Good to see you. All right, let me see if I can move this so it's more of a all right. Well, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for signing in and joining me today. Grateful to have you here. My name's David. Most of you probably know me from class, but I'm excited to share this class with you. I thought I might do a class on breath work because right now in a lot of the facilities and gyms that I work at, there's really no space for that. Obviously, with all the
yesterday trying to figure out exactly.
So Mary, I think your thing's unmuted.
I can't unmute it.
It's all good.
I'm not used to this.
It's okay, but there you go. Perfect. But due to the respiratory disease and illness going around right now, the idea of having a bunch of people in class breathing really hard doesn't sound too great. But the one thing is that we can do this at our house, and whether it's through this class or you develop your practice on your own, I feel one thing that's important is to develop a little bit more insight about the breath. And having a place where I can teach strictly about the breath like this is helpful, because a lot of times in a yoga class, because we want to get into movement, we don't have this much time to talk about the breath. So again, thank you everyone for signing on and joining. Appreciate it. So you kind of set up, and today, since it's our first day together doing this work, we are going to do some breath work together, but want to go over the basic physiology of the lungs, look at the diaphragm a little bit, how to set up for when we do a breath practice, and we'll move forward from there. The first thing that I find with all of this is set and setting, and we want to make sure that we have the right setting for a practice like this. So whether it's this hour that you set aside right now, or it is time that you have throughout your week, but making a dedicated time, and it can be 30 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, it doesn't have to be a full-on hour session, but it's making time for yourself to be able to do this practice, because you know, we always, sometimes, at least I say this to myself, you know, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, but the fact of the matter is, it really comes down to, am I willing to make the time? And I feel that through the breath practice, we can significantly lower things like anxiety, we can significantly lower depression, we can significantly increase our ability to be more present and more aware through that practice. So again, set and setting. Behind me is where I'll be doing the work with you. I have a yoga mat, I have bolsters to sit on or lay on. You decide what your body needs. If you know, for instance, that you have tight hips, then I recommend using a bolster to sit on. That way you elevate your hips. When we do these breath practices, you may experience a little bit of tingling in your legs may fall asleep. I wouldn't stress out too much about that. If you have to change position, totally okay. Please don't wait for me to say change position, because I'd rather make sure that you are comfortable in doing these exercises rather than trying to fight something that may be uncomfortable inside of your body. So use bolsters, use you know, any props that you may need that may make it easier for you. What I'd like to do is transition over here to talk a little bit about the physiology of the lungs, and then we'll get into our practice. So I'm going to do a screen share here. And one of the first things I wanted to look at was this image that I'm pulling up here. And I'm going to show a brief video in a moment too, but you know, for a lot of people looking at the human body, my background's in biology. I studied a lot of anatomy, physiology, but for many people, they get grossed out by the human body. I apologize if that's, you know, you, but at the same time, I feel there is a development of great appreciation for the body too, to understand how all these different mechanisms work together. And, you know, when we are doing these breath exercises, there's a lot of different things I find that are helpful to have a focus on. And one of them is really having a pictorial image of what your lungs look like. And most of us have taken some level of biology in school growing up, or we may have dissected a frog or something like that. But to have an actual image of the lungs, I find is helpful, because when we do these practices, we can use a little bit of visualization at the same time as well. And so we see the lungs here, and you can probably see my pointer moving about. This is your right lung. The right lung has approximately 3 lobes. You can see 1 up here, 2 right here, 3 right here. You know, the average person, when they breathe, only breathes about 25% of their full breath when they do breathe. Now on the left side, it's a little bit different, because this is the side that the heart's located on. You actually have 2 lobes on this side. You can kind of see the smaller lobe down here. That's the second one, and then the larger lobe with the prominent ones up here. Now, underneath here, and this is what we're going to work on a lot in our breath exercises, is development of this muscle. This muscle right here is your diaphragm. Your diaphragm's located at about, and attached to at about the 11th and 12th rib. When we inhale, the diaphragm contracts, and as it contracts, it creates this positive pressure system where it pulls air in from the outer environment. And then when it relaxes, it domes and curves upwards again and pushes that air back out. So every time we inhale, it's an active movement. Okay, so there's a contraction taking place inside of our bodies that's causing that inflation, sort of like it's like when you pull, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but if you take like a balloon and you have or excuse me, you take like a rubber seal and you have a balloon and you pull it downwards, you can see how it sometimes can deflate. Well, it's kind of the opposite of this. And what happens is as these muscles contract, it causes this expansion through the rib cage. And as it relaxes, everything pushes back out again. And over and over and over, it does this. And so the average person breathes approximately 16 to 18 times per minute. And that's actually quite a rapid breath. And a lot of that breath is a nervous breath, that's a tension breath, that's a stress breath, that's an anxious breath. And what we want to do is try to overcome that breath cycle by slowing the breath down actively. Now, the breathing system is what is called part of the autonomic nervous system. It's something that automatically happens. We have to actually intervene through awareness and consciousness in order to change that rhythm and pattern up. Now, that takes practice. We may have a practice today and you may feel good after today, but it's also very normal for everything to return back to normal again, which is why we want to practice this over and over and over again, because we have to establish a routine and a pattern for these changes in the breath pattern to take place. And again, you can do this on your own, or you can do it, in a group like we're doing today. Here's another pictorial image of how the diaphragm looks. It's basically this pear-shaped muscle that's located inside the lungs. You can see the floating ribs down here. You can see how it attaches around. And then the lungs just sit on top of this. Now, when we talk about things like depression, and I want to just briefly talk about the lungs from an emotional standpoint. The lungs represent grief. Okay, when we feel grief, when we feel sadness, when we feel down, when we feel depressed, typically the lungs are affected in that, because when we look at postural changes that take place, when we are depressed, when we are down, we aren't feeling well, we start to see a head drop, we see a shoulder roll forward, we see compression in the ribs, and now the lungs can't function right. Because the lungs are attached to every other part of the system in the body, because the body is one whole complete system, as the lungs start to experience that, well, the body also experiences that because it's no longer respirating properly. And so while there's nothing wrong with feeling grief, we have to recognize too that in those moments of grief, there is typically a physiological thing that's taking place. How do we move out of that? Through working on postural changes, through lifting our chest, through opening the chest, collarbone spread, breathing more into our lower bellies, allowing more expansion through the rib cage. I hope this is all making sense for everyone. And like I said, we will get into our practice in just a moment. Wanted to just go over some of the physiology of this. Now, I'm going to go back to the screen share again, and I'm just going to show a video, and then we'll start to get into our breath. So I'm going to stop share here and go over to this video, and hopefully you should be able to hear this.
The respiratory system moves air through the nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, and bronchus to the alveoli, where the gas exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs. Nares are the openings to the nose. The nasal cavity is lined with cilia, mucous membranes, and blood capillaries. The air is filtered by cilia, moistened by mucous membranes, and warmed by the blood. Air moves into the pharynx or throat, the common passageway for food and air. Air continues on to the larynx. The epiglottis, a flap of tissue in front of the larynx, closes off the larynx when swallowing to prevent food from entering. The larynx or voice box contains the vocal folds. The trachea or windpipe connects the larynx to the bronchial tree. The cartilage rings of the trachea prevent the trachea from collapsing. Lungs are spongy tissue with alveoli and blood capillaries. Breathing occurs because of the expansion and contraction of the lungs. The bronchi carrying the air subdivide into smaller branches called bronchioles. At the end of each bronchiole are the alveolar sacs. The alveolar sacs are surrounded by blood capillaries and contain millions of single-layer alveoli cells where the gas exchange takes place. Oxygenated air goes from the nose to the pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, and alveoli. By the process of diffusion, oxygen in the air moves from the alveoli to the capillaries. Carbon dioxide moves from the capillaries to the alveoli and is exhaled. This process is called respiration.
All right. Let me just pause this. Let's see. All right. So hopefully that little pictorial was helpful in seeing and understanding a little bit more. I find it so helpful to show this because, you know, these are things that are happening all the time, literally right underneath our noses. And I feel it helps us gain a greater appreciation for these bodies that we have and how everybody's body is a little bit different. But there's also a lot of different choices that we can make day to day that can help these bodies function more properly. And when they're functioning more properly, more energy can be put into things like service, helping others, being more available, being more present, rather than focusing some of the maladies that may show up when we, denegregate the body and don't take care of it as well. In James Nestor's book, there's a book called Breathe that's out. I recommend it. It's called Breathe, a lost science, a lost art of a new science or something like that. I forget the exact title, but it's by James Nestor. And he talks in great detail about the importance of the breath. And even more specifically, he talks in great detail about breathing through our noses versus breathing through our mouths. Now, the average, I wouldn't say the average, but about prior to the pandemic, approximately 20 to 25% of people breathe through their mouths. Now, one of the issues of breathing through our mouths is that when we take out breathing through our nose, the nasal concha, the nose, it plays a huge and vital role in the breathing process. One is that it humidifies the air as it goes in. Two, if you look at and did a cross section of the nose, you'll see these things called the nasal concha and these things called turbinates. Turbinates, as the air passes over it, causes the air to create like a vortex, and then allows for an increase in breathing respiration and the rapidity of the breath be able to go down and flow into the body more smoothly. Breathing through the nose helps to increase the temperature of the air because remember, the body functions on a spectrum. And so at just the right temperature, the body is able to maximize the amount of oxygen that it's able to intake. But if it's off just a little bit, we are also decreasing that amount too. So we have to understand that the body functions within a spectrum of temperature ranges too. Fourth, is we breathe through the nose. We have all the ciliary hairs that are inside of there too. We have the mucosa, that's going to trap bacteria. That's going to help clean up stuff. So that way we don't have, dirt, debris, and everything else getting stuck inside of our lungs. When we're breathing through our mouth, there's a greater propensity for stuff to come into the lungs that we don't want. And then finally, when we breathe through the nose, as air flows across the membranes in the body, and this is how incredible the body is, the body naturally releases this substance called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is what is called a vasodilator. And when nitric oxide, not to be confused with nitrous oxide, that would be laughing gas, but nitric oxide, as it moves into the body, helps to open up some of these capillaries, veins, and arteries, which means that we're going to have more vasodilation, which means there's going to be a greater intake and uptake of oxygen as it moves into our system. Now, it's not about completely oxygenating the body. You want to make sure you have the right balance between oxygen and CO2. And commonly thought we just want to get O2 into our bodies. We actually want to find the right balance of O2 and CO2. Now, the issue with mouth breathing is that we circumvent all of that. As you pass oxygen over the mouth, well, bacteria in the mouth like oxygen. And so what ends up happening is we start to see greater amounts of tooth decay inside of the mouth by breathing through the mouth. Not only that, when we breathe through the nose, we're able to sustain the musculoskeletal back here in the back of the throat. When we breathe through the mouth, now we start to see collapsing of the back of the throat, which is why oftentimes we also, and I don't know if anybody here has issues with snoring, but why when this starts to collapse back here in the throat, why people start to snore. And then we start to see things like sleep apnea and issues and waking up at night and abnormal sleeping ranges. So there's a lot to the breath. I'll talk more about this on further classes. I do want to get into doing some breathing exercises with you. But first just understanding the basics and fundamentals and giving a little bit of a crash course and understanding some of the philosophy and physiology of the breath. Before we get into this, is there any questions? All right, I'm going to go over to my mat and I'm going to have my timer by me. And our first exercise, if you have some space in your house or your room, we're just going to lay down on our backs. And as we lay down on our backs, place the left hand over your heart, then your right hand on your belly. And then just begin to feel your heartbeat. Notice if you can feel your heartbeat with both hands, not just your left hand. And as we arrive into our practice, let go of your day, let go of your week, let go of what's next, what's to come. Begin to feel the inhales and the exhales. And as you feel the inhales and the exhales, what I'd like you to do is be as effortless as possible. So don't try to breathe. The body's already breathing for us. We're just noticing, am I breathing deep? Am I breathing shallow? Am I breathing fast? Am I breathing slow? Good. And in just a moment, we're going to start doing a 5 to 6 count inhale, 5 to 6 count exhale. And this is considered to be more of a proper balanced breath, which gives us about 5 to 6 breath cycles per minute, moving us away from that 16 to 18 potential. So let's slowing the breath down. Let's breathe together. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Couple more rounds. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up. And then open the mouth, sigh it out. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to focus on breathing down into our lower bellies. So by breathing down into our lower bellies, we are focusing on descending the diaphragm downwards. So it's going to be an inhale through the nose, down the spine, into the lower belly, navel rises and lifts. And then on the exhale, it's going to reverse that out of the chest, the belly drops down, up the spine, then out the nose. So we're exaggerating the breath a little bit, but what we're working on doing is creating space and creating a little larger reservoir for us in our breath. The same thing, we'll do about 10 rounds, breathing down into the lower belly. Let's begin. Inhaling through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling out the chest, feel the navel drop down, up the spine, then out the nose. Inhaling through the nose, down the spine, into lower belly, chest expands. Exhaling out of the chest, feel the navel drop down, up the spine, then out the nose. Inhaling through the nose, down the spine, into the lower belly, chest expands, collarbones spread. Exhaling out of the chest, feel the navel drop down, up the spine, and out the nose, like a wave. Inhaling. Exhaling. Five more rounds. Inhaling. Exhaling. 4 more. Inhaling. Exhaling. Three more. Inhaling. Exhaling. Two more. Inhaling. Exhaling. And one more. Inhaling. Exhaling. And just let the breath return back to normal. Now, if we're not used to breathing like this on a regular basis, sometimes a panic reflex will start to show up. Know that that is normal, but the good news is that we can start to work through that anxious panic reflex. In fact, even in mental health and psychology, when we start to have a bit of a panic attack, one of the very first things that we try to do with a client or a patient is to have them start to deep breathe and slow down, okay? Now, for this next breath we're gonna do, this next breath is what is called box breathing. And in box breathing, we begin to recognize that there are 4 parts to the breath. There's the inhale, there's the hold at the top, and sometimes that's instantaneous, sometimes that's prolonged. Then there's the exhale, and then there's that pause at the bottom. Now, in yoga, there's an actual terms for this. The inhale is what is called puraka. At the top of the inhale, we call that antara kumbhaka. At the base, on the exhale, we call that a richaka. And at the base of the exhale, we call it Baya Kumbhaka. But it's the inhale, the pause, the exhale, and the pause. And so in box breathing, we're going to start with the 4-count inhale, 4-count hold, 4-count exhale, 4-count hold at the base. We're going to step ladder this up to 8, and then we're going to step it back down to 4 again. Now, as we start to get towards the 8, it may feel a little panic reflex come in because we're holding a little bit longer, but that's okay. All we want to try to do is relax into that panic reflex. Now, as you breathe, try to breathe as smoothly as possible. We're not going 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not doing that. We're just going as smooth as we can to the inhale, we hold, smooth exhale, we hold. All right? Hands on the body, left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. Let's first take a clearing breath. Inhale, fill lungs up. Exhale, let it go. And let's begin. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhaling 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up. Sip a little more air. Hold, relax into your body. And exhale, release. All right, let's release the arms down. Let's move the fingers out, move the toes out, circle out the wrists, circle out the ankles, roll the shoulders out. All right, then we're going to put a gentle bend in our knees. And we're going to roll over to either our right or left side. We're going to come into a comfortable seated position. As you come into a comfortable seated position, I'm going to sit on a bolster. If you'd like to sit on a bolster, or if you prefer to sit in a chair, that's fine too. Now, the next breath we're going to do, I hope you feel a little bit calmer after that by slowing the system down. The next breath that we're going to do is what is called Bhastrika breath, or sometimes called breath of fire. Okay, breath of fire is a rapid breath. And the mechanics of this breath is that we breathe in and out through our nose quickly. I recommend if you maybe need a little bit of tissue or something to wipe your nose, because sometimes you do blow out a little bit of snot in this. It's just part of it. But one of the purposes of this breath is that through breathing in and out through the nose quickly, we start to clear out some of the gunk and the junk and the mucosa that may be stuck in the sinus cavities. So we intentionally are trying to work that out. Now, the other part of this is it's Bhastrika breath, breath of fire, is that when we breathe in and out through our nose, we're trapping heat. When we breathe through our mouths, the air flows over our salivary glands as well as the saliva in our mouths that cools the breath down. Because we're breathing out of the nose and because the opening is a lot smaller, it traps the air inside. So what ends up happening is you start to feel this increase in heat inside the body. So for Bhastrika breath, breath of fire, we're going to do 3 rounds of 1 minute. And so in just a moment, I'll say take an inhale. We'll inhale through the nose. We'll exhale it all out. We'll seal our mouth. And then we'll breathe in halfway and we'll begin. And the breath is going to sound sort of like this. Okay, it's like a sniffing dog. We're really engaging the diaphragm on this one. And we're using the core muscles. So that way, when we breathe, we're learning how to dynamically use both the diaphragm and the rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis muscles in the breath. If you ever watch how an animal breathes, like a cheetah, or where you can really see its body breathing, it's using almost its entire body when it breathes. It's not just using just the diaphragm itself. And so we're going to connect to our diaphragm and our abdomen as we do this breath. At the end of the breath, we're going to do a breath retention. So when we get to the end of the minute, I'll say exhale out all the air, exhale, 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 and we'll empty our lungs, and then we'll take a big breath in and we'll hold that at the top of the inhale. As we hold at the top of the inhale, we're going to engage our body. We're going to lift the pelvic floor, we'll pull the navel in, we'll draw the chin in. I'll say all this stuff so that way you know what to do. And then we're going to hold for approximately 15 to 20 seconds, and we're just going to relax into our bodies. Okay? Just follow along. If you don't get it right the first time, we have lots of time to practice this. I'm going to break my timer out here. And so we're going to do 1 minute. Let's take a big breath in and fill our lungs up. Exhale, let it go. Seal your lips, breathing in through the nose halfway. 1 minute begins, go. Exhale out all the air. Empty, 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 empty the lungs all the way. Now sitting tall, take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up to the top. Hold your breath at the top of the inhale. As you hold, lift the pelvic floor, pull the navel in, draw the chin in, roll the eyes upwards to the crown of your head, and hold for 15 to 20 seconds. And exhale, letting it go. Just observe sensations, colors, whatever may be there that's showing up. Just feel. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Deep breath in. Deep, smooth breath out. And deep breath in. Smooth breath out. All right. So we're going to do this again. You probably felt, it was a little bit of work doing some of that. That's okay. It's going to feel like work at first. It's sort of like if you've ever opened and closed your hand really fast, it gets to a certain point where when you do this, the forearm starts to be affected, and then it's really hard to open and close. When we haven't been used to working our lungs and core muscles in this way, it's normal to feel exhausted. So, are a little bit tired with this. We start out with a minute, we start to build up from there, but we're going to do another round of 1 minute. So sitting tall, we want to try to keep an upright posture. Let's take a big breath in. Exhale it all out. Seal the lips, breathing in halfway. Begin. And exhaling out all the air. Empty, 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 empty the lungs all the way out. Then sitting tall, take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up to the top. Hold the breath. As you hold, lift the pelvic floor, pull the navel in, draw the chin in, roll the eyes upwards to the crown of the head, press the tongue against the roof of the mouth, and then hold here for about 20 seconds. Relax into the body. And exhale, letting it go. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Smooth breath in. And smooth breath out. All right. And again, by developing the diaphragm, we can have more productive coughs, we can have more productive sneezes, we can also work away some of that visceral fat that may be inside the body as well, that just collects over time through just different, foods that we eat and things like that, as we learn to work the lungs and diaphragm. All right, so we're gonna do one more round of this. Do the best you can. And you know, at any point in time as you're doing that breath retention, if it's too long for you, you start to feel uncomfortable, honor your body, but challenge yourself at the same time too. All right. So one more minute of Ujjayi breath, or excuse me, of Bhastrika breath, breath of fire. Please take a big breath in. Exhale, letting it go. Seal the lips, breathing in halfway. Breath of fire begins, go. And exhaling out all the air, empty, 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 empty. Then take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up to the top, holding the breath. As you hold the breath, lift the pelvic floor, pull the navel in, draw the chin in, roll the eyes upwards, pressing the tongue against the roof of the mouth, and hold here for about 20 seconds. Relax the shoulders down the back. And exhale, release. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. And smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. All right. So it's also normal to feel tingling through your body. It's normal to feel like, you know, like your body feels vibrating sometimes. All these things, they may be abnormal or uncomfortable at first, but know that it's just part of the practice. And, you know, as that stuff shows up, it's nothing to panic about. In fact, if anything, it's about relaxing into that rather than trying to fight it. All right, so for this next breath we're going to do, it's called Kapalabhati breath or skull shining breath. And it's a type of yoga breathing where we breathe in through the mouth and then we forcefully exhale out the nose. Okay, so it almost is like it's almost like you're sneezing through the nose. But what we're learning to do is engage the core muscles to push air out of the nose. So it's just going to be an inhale and then force out the nose. Okay. You don't want to blow too hard because you'll know when you blow too hard because you'll feel something inside the sinuses, but it's just pushing the air out quickly. So we're only going to do one round of this. We're going to go for 1 minute. And the point of this breath is to simply clear out the nasal cavity. All right, so let's take a big breath in. Exhaling, let it go. This time, breathing through the mouth. Inhale. Out the nose. On your own. And exhaling it all out. Wipe your nose off if you need to. Smooth breath in. Exhaling, release. Deep breath in. And exhaling, release. Okay, so this next breath we're going to do, and today we're just doing more of a buffet of breaths. Next week, if you care to join again, we're going to be focusing on more specific breaths that we did today. But this next breath we're going to do is a form of holotrophic breathing. In this type of practice, it's a forced inhale, forced exhale. And so it's going to be a it's almost like we're hyperventilating, but what we're doing is breathing through the mouth and exhaling out the mouth. And we're doing this deep. As we do this, you're going to feel lightheaded. You might start to feel some tetany in the hands or tightening of the hands. You might start to get a little bit tired. You might feel a band of sensation across the eyes and the forehead. Know that all that stuff is normal. We're going to go for 1.5 minutes with this. And at the end of it, we're going to exhale out all the air just like we did before. And then we're going to take a big breath in. We're going to do a breath retention to the top, and we're going to hold it just a little bit longer today. Now, when longer, meaning we're going to hold for about 30 seconds. Now, as we hold this, the panic reflex may start to come up. Just be aware of that. We're going to try to relax into our bodies the best that we can. Okay? So let's go ahead. We're going to start to breathe in and out through our mouths. Let's take a big breath in. Exhale, letting it go. 1.5 minutes sitting tall, begin. Then exhale out all the air, empty the lungs completely, empty, 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 empty. Take a big breath in, fill your lungs all the way up to the top, holding the breath. Be with the sensations, hold, 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 relax into your body, open the chest. You might feel a little lighthead, keep relaxing into it. Lift the pelvic floor, spread to the collarbones, pull the belly in, draw the chin in, keep holding, be with the sensations, stay with a long spine, keep holding 30 seconds. And exhaling, letting it go. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. And smooth breath in. And smooth breath out. Very good. So we're going to do a different type of holotropic breathing, very similar to it. And, you know, again, you may have felt something, some sensations, you may have felt some panic come in that. That's all right. What we end up eventually doing is being able to relax into our bodies rather than fighting that panic. We just go, okay, that sensation's there. I allow that sensation to be, and I don't try to fight it. I just let that sensation arise and pass. The more we practice it, the better we get at it. So this next one we're going to do, same thing, minute and a half. Excuse me, it's going to be a double inhale, strong exhale. So it's going to be a again, we're learning to flutter and work our diaphragm as we do this, and then we're pushing, using the rectus abdominis muscles, the air out of the body. So we'll do a minute and a half. Let's do the best we can. If you have to cough, if you have to sneeze, if you have to clear your throat, it's okay. If you have to pause, totally fine. Just come back into the breath again. All right, take a big breath in. Exhale, letting it go. Double inhale, strong exhale. Let's begin. Nice and strong. Keep breathing. Exhale out all the air, empty the lungs completely. Exhale, 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 exhale. Then deep belly in, breathing up down the spine into lower belly, chest expands, collarbone spread, shoulders down the back, lifting the pelvic floor, navel in, draw the chin in, roll the eyeballs upwards, press the tongue to the roof of the mouth, hold here. Hold at the top of the inhale. Exhale, release. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. And smooth breath in. And smooth breath out. All right. Again, sometimes, you know, hopefully you feel a little bit relaxed with that. Sometimes, again, anxiety comes up, panic comes up. what we end up doing is when we're not doing this in a group, because I have to do this in a group, what we end up doing when we do this work on our own is we start to lengthen that inhale and holding that inhale for as long as we can. And then in breaths like the Wim Hof method, and we'll do a little bit of that next week. In Wim Hof, we hold both the exhale and the inhale, but we'll get to that next week. So we have a little bit of time left, and we did all this active breathing. Excuse me. What I'd like to do is slow it down a little bit and get into more of the parasympathetic breathing, and we'll finish off our class for the day. In parasympathetic breathing, what we're doing is we're decreasing the length of the inhale and increasing the length of the exhale. So we can do different methodologies of this. We can do, for instance, like a 6-count inhale and an 8-count exhale, or another way of doing this. And one of my favorite teachers, Max Strom, does this. He'll do a 4-second inhale, 6-second hold, 7-second exhale. But for today, we'll do 6-count inhale and then 8-count exhale. So placing your left hand over the heart, right hand on the belly, we'll take about 5 to 6 rounds and then we'll finish off. So let's begin. Deep inhale, fill lungs up. Exhale out all the air. And then inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in through our noses. Out the mouth, sigh it out. Ah. 2 more. Inhaling. Out the mouth, audible sigh, let it go. Ah. Add some tone to it. 1 more. Inhaling. Sigh it out. Ah. Beautiful. Releasing your hands down. I'm just going to pop back over to the screen here. We're at a little past 9 o'clock, friends, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate the time that you took today as we continue to do this work, and I hope I get to see more of you. Feel free to invite your friends. I really do feel that when we are more connected with our breath, we're more connected with the present moment. We're more connected with our loved ones. We're more connected with our friends and our family and coworkers. We begin to experience life a lot more dynamically because we recognize that, wow, in this moment, I actually have a choice to take a deep breath. I have a choice in that deep breath to use that breath now and shape my vocal cords into words, how I want to speak to other people, how I want to be received. And when we have that type of connection to our own bodies, we also find a deeper connection to the nature that's around us as well. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm gonna put us all on all the emails together on one big email, and I'll send this link out to everyone. Feel free to share the link. Again, if you'd like to donate to this practice, you can Venmo or whatever. But more than anything, I'm just grateful that you're here. And if you have questions, please let me know. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you. Love you. Ho'oponopono. Aho. Namaste. Any questions, anyone?
David, Pat Lucy here. I have a
Hey,
question.
Pat.
Sometimes it seems like you're breathing in your nose and out your nose, and then other times in your nose and out your mouth.
Mhm.
I'm not sure when I'm supposed to
Okay.
be doing which.
Okay. I'll try to be a little bit clear with that. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, certain breaths we want to practice breathing through our nose, like the Ujjayi breath. We want to
That's-
strictly breathe. Ujjayi is through the nose, but the
Yeah.
Bhastrika breath, the breath of fire, is also through the nose. So it's
Yeah.
that's that fast breath. In day-to-day life, we want to focus on breathing in and out through the nose regularly. Okay, so we want to avoid mouth breathing. And one of the things, and I didn't talk about it at the very beginning, but I'll talk about it briefly now for those that still want to hang out here. For many people, because and I'm not saying I don't want to get into a debate about it. I just want to talk physiology of it. When, for instance, we're wearing a mask a lot, there's a lot of things that can happen with that, because most people wear masks improperly. And that's why I wear a specific mask now. When we wear a mask improperly, it presses down right here on the bridge of the nose. As we press down on the bridge of the nose, that closes off in the septum, that closes off the nasal concha. And depending on the type of fabrics and materials that we're wearing over this part of the body, now that's cutting off the airway. Well, now, sort of like a fish out of water, if you ever watch a fish and you put it on dry land, it's like, it's no longer using its gills. And so us as human beings too, we start to do that. And what we're seeing is that rise from 20 to 25% of the population breathing through their mouth. Now we're starting to see upwards to 35 to 40% of the population breathing through their mouth, which is a huge increase. And so I recommend breathing through the nose just on a day-to-day basis. Even as we sit here and talk, obviously I'm speaking, but we do want to try to breathe through the nose as much as we can when we're doing, chores, whatever. There's for those that suffer from sleep apnea, and I did this, Shelly did this, and we did this to our 11-year-old daughter. We put a piece of medical tape just right here on her lips. And by placing medical tape right here on the lips, we're not creating a, seal across the entire lip, but we're creating just a seal right here. And what that encourages us to do is breathe through the nose again, to help create the shape through the back of the throat. Because for individuals, as I mentioned earlier, with sleep apnea, we see a collapsing of the back of the throat. And when that collapsing of the back of the throat happens, that's where, you start to hear that snoring, where we start to wake ourselves up in the middle of the night. It's been proven, there's lots of studies on this. James Nestor talks about this in his book, but just putting a piece of medical tape right here and teaches us at nighttime to breathe through our noses again. Going back to the masks, the other part about it is many people wear dirty masks. Many people don't wash their masks. And because of that too, now you're breathing in dirty bacteria into your mouth and into your body. So, we just want to stay conscious about that. There's a couple other breaths too that we strictly breathe through our nose, Pat. Yes, absolutely, Amadeo. You can buy the tape on Amazon. There's a couple other breaths too, Pat, that we do through the nose. That one that I called skull shining breath, or Kapalabhati breath. It's through the mouth and then forcefully exhaling out the nose. So through the mouth, inhale, out the nose, we push it out. Okay. And then I'll try to be clear on it, and maybe I'll be more up here so that way you can see what I'm doing. All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
That last breath that you just explained, is that for building up heat more? Because it's
Um,
almost so hard for me to do. I've practiced breathing for so long and
mhm.
train people as well to do it, and that breathing in through the mouth is so unnatural.
Yeah, I find that, so I find with that one, the forcing it, you can't force it too hard because it will start to, like, it'll push up against some of the tissue inside of your nose. I've just learned to practice that way, just, and then force it out. I think more than anything, it may just be practice. But what
But
are your
is the
thoughts on it?
purpose like clearing the sinuses or building heat, or?
The purpose is to clear sinuses, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of, in the yoga, what is it? It's the Yoga Pradipika, which was a book that was written in the 1300s. These breath exercises came out then, but it was used as a breath, sinus cleansing breath to help push and forcefully push mucosa out of the nose. So it could be, you know, the nose would be more available.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for saying that about the masks. That's another thing that's been hard as someone that pays attention to their breathing, is I find that I put a mask on and it must be this pressure here. It just makes me open my mouth. Like I'm trying, the masks are too big, I think, too, and I'm trying to kind of pull it away from, I see a lot of people doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying something, Ursula.
Thank you.
Let me know if you have any other questions. And, you know, we're all working this together. I don't want to say my methodology is the right way at all. I love everybody's input. And, you know, I since you've been practicing breath for a while, if you have any techniques too, please feel free to share.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, all righty. Well, thanks so much, friends. I'll send this link out to you, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you next week. Gratitude. Love you.